guess I'd just start by saying that this is a extremely difficult day for us for obvious reasons, but it's a decision that we felt we needed to make to push the organization into a positive direction. I'll say that Jacque Vaughn is an incredible person. He's a class act. He's an A-plus human being. He was a joy and a pleasure to work with, and we'll miss him greatly. He made significant contributions and sacrifices on behalf of the organization over the past 2.5 seasons, and we're grateful for that. And we thank him. We thank him immensely for his hard work, for his professionalism, for his dedication and passion for the organization. And we wish him well. We wish he and his family well as he embarks on the next chapter of his career. And it's been a tough day for us. We all have a great deal of respect for Jacque, and we'll miss him greatly.
I would echo Rob's comments, and on behalf of the DeVos family and our chairman, Dan DeVos, we'd like to extend our thanks to Jacque and the role and the work that he put into this organization over the past 2+ years. Jacque is the ultimate professional, and he represented this organization as well as anyone could possibly represent it as its head coach. And even more so, he taught those traits to our players, particularly our young guys. He taught them how to be professionals and what it meant to be a professional. And that will stick with them the rest of their career. And we're indebted to Jacque for that. We're incredibly grateful for everything that he did and the time and effort that he and his family put into this organization. We thank him for his service, and we wish him nothing but the best as he embarks on the next stage of his career.
Okay, we'll begin. Josh?
This is for Rob and Alex. Why was it necessary to make this move now, and do you believe that a coaching change will suddenly flip a switch with the team?
Well, there's never an ideal time to make a change of this magnitude. As the season progressed, we just felt like a change needed to be made, and we felt this was a time to do it, plain and simple. I think as we observed the team and evaluated the team, Josh, throughout the season, we were trying to get our hands around just the inconsistency that we were seeing on the floor, and there are a lot of reasons for that. And Jacque's not the only reason for that. We're all in this together, and we're all responsible for it. I'm responsible more than anyone, and I take full responsibility for it. Never an easy time to make a change. We just felt this was the best time to do it, and we felt the organization would benefit from it.
Okay, if we can do name and affiliation, please.
John Denton, OrlandoMagic.com. For Alex and Rob, both of you guys, were you just not seeing the progress that you wanted to see after a pretty good start, tough road schedule to start the season? There had been some regression. Were you just not seeing the progress?
Yeah, we went into the season wanting to see some progress. We wanted to see growth. And we just didn't feel like we were seeing the type of growth that we wanted to see. And so that led us to this point. I would say that we find ourselves in a little bit of a rut right now. We'll call it what it is, but I would also say that it's a road bump, not a road block. And we will get through this, and we do see this as an opportunity to move forward in a positive fashion. However, it doesn't make it any easier when you have to make the type of decision we had to make today.
Josh Robbins, Orlando Sentinel. For both of you, to what degree do you feel that Jacque was hamstrung by the difficulties in the first 2 seasons, the relying on young guys on the roster for the most part? How much did that have a residual effect that made his job difficult?
There are a lot of factors, certainly, Josh, that go into how teams progress or regress, and I think that you look, these rebuilding efforts are very difficult, and oftentimes they're most difficult on the coach, and that's just the brutal reality of it. And we certainly recognize that and acknowledge that. Jacque had a very difficult task at hand. And he came to work every day with an enthusiasm and a passion and a consistency that, to Alex's point, I think the players absorbed. And no one worked harder than Jacque Vaughn. I can assure you that. The guy was here at all hours of the day and night, and he truly, truly is the consummate company man. And I have so much respect for him for many reasons, personally and professionally, but his loyalty to the organization, in my opinion, is unmatched.
And Josh, I would just say that, you know, these players gain skills from Jacque that they're going to carry the rest of their career. There's no doubt about it. I mean, he was a great teacher, a great mentor for these young men, and they're going to carry that the rest of their career. And he did a spectacular job at that. Today's decision is about the fact that we're just not where we feel we should be. And we told you at the beginning of the season we felt like this was a season we needed to turn the corner. And we haven't. Not at this point in time. We feel like we're still going to turn the corner. We may have to take a little bit of a U-turn here in the short term, but we're just not where we expected or feel we should be.
Hi, this is Farah from Telemundo Orlando. I wanted to know what is our expectations for this year? What was that turning point that you say today we have to fire him after a game last night in San Antonio? What was that turning point that the decision was made today? And what do you think the fans think about this move?
Well, we never rush judgment on anything. We'll always take our time evaluating every inch of the organization from top to bottom. That's our job. We do that on a daily basis. Again, to my point earlier, there's never an opportune time to make a decision like this. We felt like it got to a point where we had to make a change and that the team would benefit from the change. And we'll see our way out of it. We'll move forward and we'll get better because of it. And you know, I think hopefully the fans see that we recognize the change needed to be made. We still have a lot of work to do. We're not shying away from that. And we'll continue to get to work and move forward, and we'll get there.
Ken Hornak from FoxSportsFlorida.com. What would you like to see out of this team in the next 30 games, or maybe more specifically, what would you like to see out of this team that you haven't seen, say, like over the last 16 of the last 18 games?
You know, I think it starts with reigniting that competitive spirit. You know, I used that phrase a few weeks ago, and I think it's an appropriate one. You know, I think we have guys on this team who want to compete. We believe in our players. We believe in our players wholeheartedly. And I think for the remaining portion of the season, what should be top of mind is regaining that competitive consistency and going out there and just competing, plain and simple, competing, and doing it with a tenacity and a ferocity and a togetherness. And if we can start there and create that and establish that as a staple, then I think we'll continue to make good strides.
Mike?
Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. Rob, year 3 of the rebuild regressed, it seems like, this year. Is this a good roster? A lot of fans want to know, is this a good roster, and will a coaching change be a difference maker?
You know, Mike, I think we've stalled a little bit in our progress. Clearly, we have work to do, and we need to get better. But I'll say it again, we believe in our players. We really believe in them. I said that to them again today when we met with them. We have faith, we have belief in the capabilities of our players now, and we have a lot of faith and excitement about their capabilities moving forward as they continue to grow and continue to get better. It's a young team. It is a young team, and it's challenging to win in this league when you're young. And I think as we entered the season, our goal again was we want to see progress. We want to see growth. We want to see, you know, a situation where we can look back on the year and say, hey, we're moving in the right direction. And right now, I think we're just a little bit stationary, and we've kind of stalled on the side of the road, and now we just got to get back on the road and keep moving.
David Pingalore, Local 6 here in Orlando. Rob and Alex, what type of coach would you be looking for going forward now? You brought in a guy, obviously, to replace Stan with 0 head coaching experience. You're looking for a guy with multiple years of experience in this league?
You know, Ping, we're going to take it day by day. James Borrego is our coach. We're supporting JB. Our players are supporting JB. We'll continue to evaluate the team and how we're doing on a daily basis like we always have. And I'm not going to get into specifics about anything relative to a coaching situation other than the fact that JB is our coach, and that's how we're moving forward.
Larry the West, too. Rob, how much time will you give James? Will he get the rest of the season? How much rope does James have?
James has our support. We're 100% behind James. The players are behind James, and we'll take it day by day. That's the message I've conveyed to James. That's our approach. We'll take it day by day, and we'll continue to evaluate. Absolutely.
Yeah, George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel. For both Alex and Rob, obviously there has to be a good deal of fan frustration. What would you say to fans out there that are just, you've talked about the process, but obviously, as you said, this is a setback here, and what would you tell them about today and what's going to happen moving forward?
Well, what I would tell them is, we obviously weren't pleased with where we stood, and we acted upon it. We weren't going to sit back and, allow this to continue to happen throughout the course of the rest of the season without having the opportunity to turn it around and improve again. And so, we've said it internally. This is just a short bump in the road. This can easily get back on track because of the fact, as Rob said, we believe we've got a great deal of talent on our roster. That's not to say that we don't need to continue to grow that roster. We're realistic about that. But we believe in our players. And we believe that we have the capability of being better than we are. And so hopefully this change will be the shot in the arm, to get back on that right path and get over that bump. But we believe in our plan. We're going to stick with our plan. We're going to continue with our plan through the rest of this season, through the off season. And we believe that we are building for long-term success. And that starts with our belief in the core of players that we have on our roster.
Josh Robbins, Orlando Sentinel. Rob, what was the rationale in letting go Wes Unseld Jr., Brett Gunning, and Zach Guthrie?
Josh, again, change is never easy, and there are a lot of decisions you have to make that are difficult. We felt that we needed to make a substantial change, and because of that, we decided to make the decisions that we did. We think the world of Wes and Brett and Zach, incredibly hard workers, incredibly bright people who have bright futures in this league. And it was just a function of making a hard decision and a difficult one.
Well, then to follow up, who will be assisting James now over the next, over the remainder of the season? Who does he have now that he can rely on?
Sure. So LaRon Prophet and Jay Hernandez will accompany James on the bench, and we'll continue to consider other options to help support and fortify our coaching situation for James.
Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. Alex, when you hired Rob and Jacque to start the rebuild 3 years ago, was there a time frame? Did you think it would take? How long did you think it would take? And a lot of fans want to know how much longer is it going to take?
I think we've been consistent, Mike, in saying that, we don't have a time frame. No one can predict how long these processes take. All that we desire is that we have continuous improvement and that we show that continuous improvement to our fans and continue to give them the vision that we're building this for the long term. We're in this to win. We're not in this for continual losing. We suffer with every loss as much as every fan does out there, believe me, okay? And that's the reason, one of the reasons why we felt we needed to make a change at this point in time. But what I would say to fans is our desire is to keep this moving forward so that we have a long-term, sustained winning record. and to compete for conference championships on an annual basis. We believe the foundation's there. And unfortunately, like I said earlier, we've hit a bump in the road, but that doesn't mean that, you know, we're turning back. We're continuing to move forward, and we believe that, you know, we're going to be back on track because of the core players that we have and because of, you know, what Rob has done from a player personnel standpoint to set us up for future additions, whether it's through cap flexibility or draft picks or what have you. We feel like Rob and his team have developed a plan that we're going to continue to move forward in a positive direction because of all those assets that we have. So to the fans, I say, you know, we've made this move today because we're not happy about it, about the direction that we were going in and about where we are today. I think everybody knows we have the same record today that we did at this exact juncture last season. And that's not forward progress, and that's why we are where we're at today.
Christian Brewy, WFTV. Rob, we heard Jacque talk about defense and intensity. Was there some disconnect that occurred over the last month that you saw that eventually led to that? We've heard losing the locker room, I think, is the cliche, but would you say that happened over the last month?
I don't think you can ever pinpoint one factor or one issue as to why something does or doesn't happen. I think there were a lot of different factors that go into it. Jacque and I spent a lot of time discussing it and trying to troubleshoot it. Sometimes you can pinpoint things, sometimes you can't. There's a lot of intangible qualities that go into team dynamics that sometimes are hard to pinpoint. So clearly there was a disconnect. Our defense has suffered as of late, and we have to be sure to get that back on track pronto. But I can't sit here and say it was one thing or the next. It was a multitude of factors.
Chris Crawford, Orlando Magic Radio. Was there a specific place that you wanted to be at this point in the season, a specific win number at place in the conference, or was it just a matter of turning that corner?
It's just a matter of showing progress. You know, we didn't try to limit ourselves to a concrete goal or a finite number. It was definitely a fluid goal, and we felt like we would be able to tell, and our fans would be able to tell, quite honestly, if, yeah, you guys are moving in the right direction, or no, you're not. And, you know, that's just where we found ourselves.
Danny Morales of Valencia Voice. Rob, with this move and looking in the short term, what are the expectations for this last stretch of the season? What would you guys like to see? Is it more wins, or is it just progress in the development?
Reestablishing that competitive vibe, that competitive spirit, shoring up our defense. You know, we want to be a defensive-minded team. We've said that from the beginning. We feel like we have players on the team who want to play defense, who take pride in defense, and I think getting that back on track will be a good first step in moving in the right direction.
Okay, at this time, we'll bring up Coach Borrego to join the group. Larry, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Yeah, one for Rob real quickly, and for Alex. How secure is Rob? What do you think about his job performance so far, and what is his prospects going forward?
Rob is very secure. We're very pleased with the way that he's constructing the roster. We're very pleased with the manner in which he's organized our basketball operation. And we're very pleased with the assets that he's accumulated for us to continue to move in a forward direction. You know, we are very pleased with the work that Rob and his staff have done to date.
Larry, I would point the finger more at me than at Jacque.
JD.
John Denton, OrlandoMagic.com. JB, how tough of a day is this for you, because you're close to Jacque, but you know, a chance to maybe turn this thing around and salvage the season over the last 30 games?
Tough day, emotional day. The first thing I'd like to say before I say anything or answer any questions is I want to thank Jacque Vaughn for the opportunity he gave me. He could have chosen any assistant out there as his lead assistant. He chose me. And you know, we grew together, we fought together, we sweated together, and we bonded. You know, it's a hard day. I'm going to miss him on a daily basis. So I learned under him. He was a mentor, a friend, and that friendship will last. That's not going away. But I love that guy, and we'll continue.
Zach Oliver, SB Nation and Orlando Pinstripe Post. This is for both Rob and James. You've talked about wanting to turn the corner this year. Maybe the team hasn't made the strides that you wanted as a whole, but what have you seen from individual players in their development this season?
You know, I think our players continue to get better, and that's a function of their work ethic. That's a function of their desire to want to get better, and that's a function of our ability to develop them over the last couple of years. And I think we want to continue to build on that. We have hungry guys who want to get better, who love the game, and those are great qualities to have. And so the goal is to just continue to build on that and not be satisfied, continue to want more, continue to strive for excellence and strive to be great, right? And that's the goal, and I think I know our players carry that mindset.
Yeah, I would agree. I mean, player development is the lifeblood of an organization. You know, that's what you can control. We can control those 15 in our locker room, and those 15 can get better. And our challenge for those guys will be to get better on a daily basis. We're going to push them. We're going to prod them, and that's our focus every day.
Christian,
WFTV, Christian Brewer, WFTV. Rob, James, you said you spoke with the players. It's almost like they're getting, I guess, a second season to renew themselves. What was their reaction when they got the news?
You know, a little rattled. Our guys, every single one of them respects Jacque and enjoys being around him. So, you know, this is a disruptive day for us, and we have to regather ourselves and recalibrate our thoughts. And, you know, we have a game tomorrow, and I'm not playing in the game, but they are, right? And so I think that they're using today to kind of process everything. But the one thing I do know is that they believe in us, and they believe that we're going to be the right kind of steward for the organization and guide it in the right way. And there's a lot of trust. So, but it was tough, you know. It was not easy for them to take. They've spent a lot of time with Jacque and the staff and put in a lot of hours, you know, good times and bad times. So it was a shock, I think.
Mike Bianchi, Orlando Sentinel. Coach, do you have to change your style or demeanor now that you're the head coach? And also, in your opinion, why has the defense deteriorated so much?
The defense is going to be our focus. We're going to look to that side of the ball. Our challenge will be to the guys to individually and collectively have a pride again about our defensive end. That's one-on-one containment, staying in front of the ball, keeping the ball out of the paint, challenging every shot, going after every rebound, being there on the weak side. And for whatever reason, we just haven't been very efficient on the defensive end. But that will be our focus moving forward.
What about your style or demeanor now that is that going to change?
You know,
More assertive, aggressive?
Absolutely. I mean, as a head coach, you have to. That's part of the job. I will demand more. I'll be up more. I'll be more aggressive. I'll say that.
Scott Fisher, Orlando Magic Stuff. Coach, how similar is your philosophy to Jacque's, and what changes should we expect to see over the next couple games?
Some things will stay the same. Some will change. I learned a lot under him. I learned under some great coaches. I've taken a little bit from all of them, starting with Coach Pop and that entire tree, Mike Budenholzer to Monty Williams to Coach Vaughn. So the focus is the defensive end, and I'm going to keep saying that, and that has to be our message. Our players have to feel that, and it's got to be a team effort. The offensive end will be moving the ball, sharing the ball, being aggressive, not being individuals, but being a team. That will be my message.
Hi, James. This is Farah from Telemundo Orlando. First of all, do you know Spanish? Do you have background?
Poquito.
Un poquito. ¿De dónde eres?
Albuquerque.
¿Descendencia mexicana?
Sí, sí, sí.
So you could feel free to speak in English, right? Okay. It would have been perfect, but it's okay. Okay, do you think that the best decision for the team was firing Jacque Vaughn?
I'm going to jump in on that one. I don't think that's a fair question to JB. I would say that As we've said about Jacque being the ultimate company man, well, you're looking at another ultimate company man. JB is incredibly loyal. He's worked his tail off for us. Our players respect him, and no one deserves to be fired. I think that's kind of a ridiculous phrase. Sometimes you have to make hard decisions, and sometimes those decisions aren't easy, but they're done for a reason. And we felt like the reason we needed to make this change was because we needed the team to move in a different way, and we're confident we'll do that.
Okay, so then, are you excited to be the new coach?
I'm ready for the challenge. I'm ready for the challenge.
Okay, we have time for a couple more questions. Do we have the microphones out there?
Coach Danny Morales from the Valencia Voice. Obviously, the systems should be somewhat the same, but what are some of the challenges facing you having a game as soon as tomorrow?
You can't put in a whole new system. You can't put in 20 plays overnight. We have to stick to our principles. And I think it's that defensive end where in a one-day period, you can really make some ground. That's the one area. Offensively, you can't change too much right now. The players' heads will be spinning. You won't get much efficiency on the offensive end if you change too much right now. Over time, we can tweak some things, change some things, but the focus will be to compete and guard.
Okay, final question.
Yeah, we're here, Coach. George Diaz with the Orlando Sentinel. It was mentioned before, it's kind of cliche, but lose the locker room. How much of a challenge will it be for you to, quote, maybe win that locker room now that you're the guy in charge?
We have great players, and I have a good relationship with those players. They understand this is their job. They're pros. They're going to come to work every day, just like I am. It's our job, and that's going to be our approach.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you all.